The Cosby Show once shone as a symbol of American television, bringing pure laughter and heartwarming family moments through the familiar faces of Cliff Huxtable and Claire Huxtable, becoming an unforgettable memory in the hearts of millions. Yet, as bright as its glory once was, the tragedies behind it were just as cruel. Sudden deaths that shook Hollywood, harsh illnesses that claimed lives, and heartbreaking stories never told about the beloved stars the world once cherished. Join us as we honor and remember those whose fates turned so tragically. Clarice Taylor as Anna Huxtable. In The Cosby Show, Clarice Taylor portrayed Anna Huxtable, the gentle elderly mother with a benevolent gaze and a warm, deep voice, allowing audiences to relive familiar family memories. At the age of 68, she brought to life a figure that was both tender and dignified, ultimately becoming the nation's grandmother in the hearts of millions of viewers. The role also earned Clarice a prestigious Emmy nomination, a testament to her enduring talent. However, in stark contrast to the warm grandmotherly image on screen, the real Clarice Taylor had to walk through her old age in solitude, surrounded by illness, and faced a tragic death that saddened all who heard of it. Few would have guessed that behind the image of the kind-hearted grandmother, Clarice Taylor faced a private life filled with hidden sorrows. In the early years of her career, she was often marginalized by racial prejudice, receiving only small, nameless roles. When she finally gained some standing, her firmness and strictness at work inadvertently caused colleagues to distance themselves, labeling her difficult to work with. Her personal life was nearly empty. She chose a reclusive existence, quietly coming and going behind the curtains. The stage lights that seemed to bring glory in reality only highlighted her loneliness, causing Clarice to sink deeper into a silent, simmering sadness with no resolution. The bitter conflicts in her career were just the beginning, as the final chapter of Clarice Taylor's life was truly colored by tragedy. Choosing to be single and adopting 2 sons, she had once hoped her old age would be warmed by family affection. But that hope crumbled when legal disputes over assets and inheritance turned her family into a cold battlefield. There were nights she sat silently in her dark house, her eyes welling with tears from the feeling of being pushed away by her own flesh and blood. At the same time, congestive heart failure wore away at her with every breath, leaving her gaunt and exhausted. Clarice gradually withdrew, refusing public appearances and living in seclusion. On screen, she was the gentle mother who warmed millions of hearts, but in real life, her old age was submerged in a heart-wrenching darkness of solitude. Clarice Taylor took her last breath on May 30th, 2011, in Englewood, New Jersey, at the age of 93. She passed away quietly, carrying with her the final years of a life shrouded in darkness and loneliness. Yet, the legacy she left behind remains immortal. With The Cosby Show, Clarice became a symbol of maternal love, of a warmth that millions of viewers still hold in their hearts. Though her life was covered in tragedy, she will forever be a sacred part of an entire generation's memory. To many, Clarice Taylor was not just an actress. She was like a familiar family member through The Cosby Show. If she ever made you smile or shed a tear, please leave a like as a tribute and a prayer for her to rest in peace with the Lord. And if you wish to continue receiving true emotional stories about stars who have passed on, please subscribe to the channel. Because every video we make is to preserve memories and bring you the most cherished moments. Thank you for always being with us. Earl Hyman as Russell Huxtable.
This man, a future doctor, had it.
In the memories of The Cosby Show fans, Russell Huxtable was the image of an ideal father, strict yet loving, earning both the respect of his family and the warmth of the audience. Earl Hyman brought this character to life with his dignified presence and a voice full of experience, leaving an unforgettable impression when he first appeared at the age of 58. But behind the image of the wise, caring father on screen, Hyman's real life was marked by solitude, private struggles, and dark tragedies that haunted him until the very end. Few would have guessed that behind the applause, Hyman still carried the weight of rejection. Born and raised during a time of harsh racial segregation, he was often denied major roles despite his acclaimed talent on stage. That bitter reality left him with a lasting sense of being stopped right at the doorway of glory. His personal life was even heavier. He lived for over half a century with a Norwegian man, yet never dared to publicly acknowledge it. What should have been a protected happiness became a burden, leaving Hyman torn, fearful of judgment, and condemned to a life of inner conflict and loneliness. Yet those struggles were only the surface. In his later years, Hyman faced his most merciless chapter. He fell into chronic depression, withdrew completely from public life, refused interviews, and lived quietly as if the world had forgotten him. His health deteriorated with age and illness, forcing him to spend his final years at the Lillian Booth Actors Home in New Jersey. There he endured long days without family by his side, surrounded only by four walls and cold silence. Each day he grew frailer, the once imposing figure reduced to a solitary shadow. On screen, he had been the father figure beloved by millions. In real life, he closed his journey in heartbreaking solitude. On November 17, 2017, Earl Hyman passed away in New Jersey, ending 91 years of triumphs and sorrows. To audiences, he was more than an actor. He was the embodiment of a stern yet loving father in The Cosby Show. Though his final days were marked by loneliness and obscurity, Hyman's talent and spirit endure, a warm flame living on in the hearts of millions who cherished his art. Michelle Thomas as Justine Phillips.
To my great mind.
Hey!
In The Cosby Show, Justine Phillips, the sweet, innocent girlfriend of Theo Huxtable, stirred tender memories of first love for countless viewers. At just 20 years old, Michelle Thomas, with her bright eyes and natural charm, quickly became the youth goddess of 1990s television. From Family Matters to The Young and the Restless, her name lit up screens across America. Yet behind that dazzling glow lay a cruel tragedy, a relentless illness that stole her vibrant youth, cutting her life short while she was still only in her 20s. Beyond the applause and studio lights, Michelle wrestled with silence and inner battles. Typecast by Hollywood as the innocent girl, all her efforts to prove herself in grittier roles were dismissed by cold producers. She became the target of cruel remarks, with the press often reducing her to a pretty flower vase rather than a true actress. Even in love, happiness eluded her. Jealousy, misunderstandings, and invisible distance eventually shattered her relationship in tears. Behind the glamorous image, Michelle bore her loneliness and suffocation, carrying wounds that never fully healed. The peak of her tragedy struck when Michelle was diagnosed with a rare abdominal cancer. Her radiant youth was transformed into endless days of pain. From a girl full of life, she grew frail, her body wasting away, her breath shallow, exhaustion etched into every moment. The agonizing pain often left her collapsing in her hospital bed. Yet out of fear of pity, Michelle chose to hide it, enduring in silence. Long nights under the cold hospital lights revealed her weary, despair-filled eyes. On screen, she had been the embodiment of purity and joy. Off screen, fate cornered her into the deepest shadows, where her radiant smile vanished forever. On December 23, 1998, Michelle Thomas took her final breath in New York at just 30 years old. Her sudden passing left Hollywood stunned and her colleagues and fans heartbroken. Yet even in her brief life, Michelle left behind an eternal legacy, from the sweet Justine in The Cosby Show to the lovable Myra in Family Matters. Those roles immortalized her as a timeless symbol of youth, forever alive in the memories of generations of viewers. Merlin Santana as Stanley. Audiences of the 1990s surely remember Stanley, the witty, sweet boyfriend of Rudy Huxtable, a character who stirred first crush feelings for so many teenagers. With his handsome face and captivating presence, Merlin Santana, a Dominican-born actor from New York in 1976, quickly became one of the brightest young stars on American television. From Moshe to The Steve Harvey Show, he left a mark with his youthful charm and natural charisma. But behind the dazzling spotlight, fate dealt Merlin a cruel tragedy that left Hollywood in shock. Beyond the stage lights, Merlin carried a silent bitterness few ever saw. As he grew older, he struggled to escape the pretty boy label Hollywood forced upon him, while the deeper, more meaningful roles were given to others. Time and again, Merlin openly voiced his frustration about racial bias and blatant favoritism in the industry, yet the price he paid was cold rejection from many producers. His once rising career suddenly stalled, leaving him feeling isolated, suffocated, and deeply insecure. The height of his tragedy struck on a fateful night in November 2002. While sitting in a car with friends, Merlin Santana was fatally shot in the head by a 19-year-old gunman. The incident stemmed from a vicious lie told by a 15-year-old girl, claiming Merlin had flirted with her. The truth later emerged. It was nothing but a baseless fabrication. But by then, it was far too late to save a promising life. Death came swiftly, cruelly, denying him any chance to explain or defend himself. From the shining light of a rising star, Merlin fell in the most unjust tragedy, leaving behind the cries of his family and a future forever unfinished. On November 9, 2002, Merlin Santana passed away at just 26 years old. His sudden, unjust death stunned Hollywood. Yet even in his short life, he left an unforgettable artistic journey. From the witty Stanley in The Cosby Show to his youthful, magnetic roles in Moshe and The Steve Harvey Show, the image of a charming, promising Merlin remains a cherished memory of an entire generation. Leave a prayer in the comments below to honor his memory. Lena Horne as herself.
In this world of overrated pleasures.
In 1985, The Cosby Show welcomed the legendary Lena Horne in a special guest appearance, playing herself. At 68, she still radiated elegance. Her enchanting voice, graceful beauty, and commanding presence made the entire set feel as if it had been bathed in her own light. Her presence not only brought sophistication to the show, but also evoked memories of the golden era of American music and cinema. Yet behind the glamorous stage persona, Lena's real life carried scars of prejudice and painful losses that never faded. Beyond the thunderous applause, Lena returned to a harsh reality. Despite her rare beauty and talent, Hollywood often confined her to minor singing roles, while scenes featuring her were sometimes cut when films were screened in racially segregated regions. These injustices often left her feeling like nothing more than a shadow on screen. In her personal life, her first marriage ended quickly, leaving her with 2 young children and a heart marked by fractures. Amid the dazzling spotlight, loneliness and alienation gradually consumed her. But those losses were only a prelude, for her deepest tragedies were still to come. Her secret marriage to conductor Lenny Hayton, once thought to be her refuge, became a burden as the couple endured cruel scrutiny and ridicule for being interracial. The eventual collapse of that marriage left Lena with a wound that never healed. The pain grew unbearable when her son died from a devastating illness, leaving behind a void so vast it brought her to her knees. Guilt and helplessness clung to her, driving her into years of relentless depression. Night after night, she shut herself away in a cold, dark room, avoiding even the spotlight that once defined her. On screen, Lena remained dazzling. In reality, she was a broken soul, crushed mercilessly by fate. At 92, Lena Horne's journey of both triumph and heartbreak came to an end on a May afternoon in 2010 in New York. She left quietly, but what she gave the world remains eternal. A mesmerizing jazz voice, a pioneering actress, and a fearless icon who shattered barriers for future generations of Black artists. Though tragedy cast long shadows over her life, the brilliance of Lena Horne, her elegance, her courage, and her timeless songs still echoes, an immortal monument in the hearts of the American people. Sammy Davis Jr. as Ray Palomino.
Well, no matter what any woman has told you, it wasn't me.
In special episodes of The Cosby Show, the appearance of Sammy Davis Jr. as Ray Palomino left audiences deeply moved. With his playful yet warm demeanor, he breathed dazzling energy into the character, lighting up every scene. Though only a guest role, Palomino became living proof of Sammy's timeless talent and irresistible charm, an artist once hailed as America's all-around star. But behind that radiant performance lay a life scarred by relentless tragedies, ending in heartbreaking pain. Behind the humor and elegance, Sammy Davis Jr. carried wounds few could imagine. In 1954, a horrific car accident cost him one eye, forcing him to live the rest of his life with a glass eye, a physical and emotional torment he hid behind his radiant smile. Grueling schedules, countless sleepless nights, and the pressure of maintaining a flawless public image often pushed him to exhaustion. Even under the spotlight, Sammy fought daily to mask the fatigue and loneliness gnawing at him. Those hidden wounds were only the beginning, for the cruelest tragedy struck in 1989, when Sammy Davis Jr. was diagnosed with throat cancer. The merciless illness struck like a hammer, stealing away the voice that had captivated millions. Radiation treatments ravaged his body, leaving him frail and hollow-cheeked, almost unrecognizable to his friends. Every meal became torture, as he could no longer swallow, forced instead to rely on feeding tubes. Even more devastating, he had to sell treasured possessions to cover mounting medical bills, watching his brilliant career crumble helplessly before his eyes. On stage, he had once been the embodiment of endless joy. Off stage, he was a man drained, suffocated by illness and despair. In May 1990, the American entertainment world bid farewell to Sammy Davis Jr., the legendary artist who ended his journey at 64. His funeral gathered Hollywood's brightest stars, the lights shining as if to illuminate one last time an immortal icon. After more than half a century of devotion, Sammy left behind a legacy of music, unforgettable dance, and pioneering courage in breaking racial barriers. Leave a prayer in the comments below as a tribute to him. Dizzy Gillespie as Mr. Hampton.
I gave you a brand new car.
But she said you want a Cadillac?
When portraying Mr. Hampton in The Cosby Show, Dizzy Gillespie turned the familiar Huxtable home into a lively jazz concert. At 67, with his iconic bent trumpet, mischievous smile, and free-spirited charm, he brought an energy that lit up the entire set. In just a few minutes on screen, this guest appearance was enough to reaffirm his legendary status, a testament to the timeless magnetism of a true jazz master. Yet behind the dazzling glow lay a life scarred by collapse and tragedy. Few could imagine that behind the playful smile and blazing trumpet, Dizzy Gillespie carried wounds that never fully healed. A 1954 accident left him blind in one eye, a haunting reminder he carried for the rest of his life. Off stage, his stormy marriage and extramarital affairs left his personal life far from whole. Nights of parties, heavy drinking, and stimulants slowly eroded his health, forcing him to mask exhaustion beneath his flamboyant stage presence. Audiences saw freedom and vitality. Within, he bore a quiet loneliness few could touch. Those earlier losses could be endured, but the cruelest blow came when Dizzy was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer in the late 1980s. The merciless illness quickly transformed him. From the commanding artist whose trumpet once roared across stages worldwide into a frail body gasping for breath each day. Concerts no longer felt like joy but like battles, as passion clashed with excruciating pain. He pressed on, performing even when his trumpet quivered and his strength faded, as though music itself was the last breath keeping him alive. In his final days, fans saw not the exuberant master of bebop, but a solitary man quietly fighting, aware that his light was dimming beyond his control. In January 1993, the music world fell silent as Dizzy Gillespie passed away at 75. His funeral in New York became a solemn farewell, where friends, colleagues, and younger generations of musicians bowed before a towering icon. In over half a century of dedication, he left behind a monumental legacy, pioneering bebop, captivating audiences worldwide, and infusing jazz with the spirit of freedom. Which of Dizzy Gillespie's trumpet melodies still echoes in your memory today? Share it in the comments, so together we can honor and keep alive the flame of music he left us. Joe Williams as Al Hanks. Fans of The Cosby Show surely remember Al Hanks, the jazz club owner and Claire Huxtable's father, portrayed by Joe Williams. With his calm gaze, elegant presence, and warm baritone voice, he gave the impression that the entire room was wrapped in a classic evening of jazz. Though he appeared in only 3 episodes, Al Hanks remained etched in memory as a symbol of refinement and an undying love for music. Yet behind that dignified image lay a life scarred by pain, swallowed by the shadows of tragedy. Beyond the roaring applause, Joe Williams faced a suffocating reality few ever knew. By the 1960s, he fell into the grip of relentless depression, so severe that he underwent electroshock therapy, brutal treatments that fractured his memory, leaving him at times forgetting lyrics in the middle of a performance. Once a respected artist, Joe grew unpredictable, prone to anger, and even abandoned shows mid-performance in fits of instability. Younger colleagues began to distance themselves, friends visited less often, and he was left to retreat into a closed, irritable shell, returning night after night to an empty room after the lights went out. For him, those silences were even more terrifying than a failed concert. The harshest chapter came later, when illness slowly strangled his breath and silenced the golden voice that once thrilled the world. In his final years, Joe Williams suffered from chronic respiratory disease, each breath shallow and labored, as if a blade pressed against his chest. The once mighty voice broke into trembling, fractured sounds on stage. On some nights, he sat backstage clutching an oxygen tank, struggling to continue singing, his eyes clouded with helpless tears. From grand concert halls, Joe was reduced to dimly lit clubs and damp waiting rooms, where the fading light only emphasized his solitude. From the heights of glory, he sank into the cold shadows, where his voice flickered out, leaving only the sound of labored breathing in an empty room. In March 1999, after days of struggling in the hospital, Joe Williams closed his turbulent journey at the age of 80. His passing left a painful void in the hearts of fans. For over 6 decades, he had turned his rich, resonant voice into the very soul of jazz. From Every Day I Have the Blues to his glorious nights with Count Basie, Joe Williams carved his name forever as a legend. Roscoe Lee Brown as Dr. Barnabas Foster.
I am reminded of the immortal words of Hamlet. There's the rub.
Fans of The Cosby Show will surely remember the brief but unforgettable appearance of Roscoe Lee Brown as Dr. Barnabas Foster, a wise professor with a calm demeanor and a velvety, resonant voice. In just one 1986 episode, Brown gave the impression of a true scholar, turning Foster into one of the show's most memorable guest characters. Long before that, he had already proven his talent through countless stage and television roles, celebrated for his rare, black velvet voice, while also elevating the presence and artistry of black performers during the height of the civil rights movement. Yet while the screen spotlight made him shine, his real life was marked by cruel battles with isolation and illness. When the stage lights dimmed, the image of a poised and intellectual Roscoe Lee Brown gave way to a man weighed down by pressure and paralyzed by loneliness. His perfectionism often made him harsh on himself and difficult with colleagues, sometimes leaving him distant and hard to approach. During rehearsals, younger actors occasionally refused to work with him, and directors complained that he was too intellectual. A painful rejection that underscored his growing sense of isolation within the artistic community. Though he shone on screen, his private life slowly sank into shadows, where quiet tragedies crept in day by day. The darkest chapter of his life came with devastating force. Illness consuming his body, estrangement from loved ones, and each moment a reminder of inescapable despair. Stomach cancer racked him with unbearable pain, reducing his once vibrant frame to a frail, hollow figure barely recognizable to friends. In the cold confines of a hospital room, dim light and the steady rhythm of machines replaced the thunderous applause he once knew. There, Roscoe faced pain and crushing solitude alone. Memories of his scholarly aura, rich voice, and magnetic presence on screen seemed to echo from a distant world, standing in stark contrast to the painful, powerless, and isolated reality he endured. On April 11, 2007, Roscoe Lee Brown's life came to a quiet end, marking the loss of a thoughtful, eloquent artist. In his final days, he faced illness alone, surrounded only by silence and the sterile glow of hospital lights. Yet despite his solitude, his contributions to the stage and television remain as luminous as they were on screen. Roscoe Lee Brown left behind an immortal legacy, roles defined by wisdom and composure, a voice rich and unforgettable, and the image of a dedicated artist forever etched in the hearts of audiences. His passing was a great loss, but the light of his artistry continues to endure. Elaine Stritch as Mrs. McGee.
Ring, ring! Ring, ring!
Oh,
That's very good.
Elaine Stritch left her mark as Mrs. McGee in The Cosby Show, appearing at 62 as an eccentric yet sharp-witted older woman who brought both laughter and reflection. Though brief, her appearance was a memorable moment in the long career of a Broadway icon, where she had dazzled audiences with bold, sophisticated performances. Her decade-spanning career proved her talent and stage presence, yet behind the brilliant lights, Stritch endured some of life's harshest tragedies: addiction, lost love, unshakable loneliness, and finally, a heartbreaking death at 89. Beneath the spotlight, Elaine Stritch wrestled with quiet burdens that weighed heavily on her spirit. Her blunt honesty and perfectionism often made her the center of backstage conflict, leaving colleagues wary and distant. Some nights, she sat alone in a cold hotel room, listening to the bustling streets of New York outside her window while her heart sank into emptiness. Harsh reviews and biting criticism made her question whether she still belonged. Though she shone on stage, Stritch's reality was filled with isolation, quiet sighs, and the aching feeling of being abandoned by the very world to which she had devoted her life. The earlier struggles were only preludes. The cruelest tragedies came later, crushing Elaine under the weight of deep loneliness, illness, and relentless addiction. After the death of her beloved husband, she spiraled into heavy alcoholism, sometimes appearing on stage intoxicated, leaving colleagues unsettled and concerned. Her health declined rapidly. Type 1 diabetes became a constant burden, its pain tormenting her body and spirit alike. Close relationships fractured, friends drifted away, and fans saw only the strong figure on stage, never the long nights of suffering inside her room at the Carlisle Hotel. Elaine became a shadow of herself, alone in hospitals, her eyes dimmed, and her hands were trembling. Every wave of pain a cruel reminder that the dazzling stage could not drive away the darkness of real life. On July 17, 2014, Elaine Stritch passed away at the age of 89, leaving a profound emptiness in the hearts of audiences and the Broadway community. She departed quietly. No children, no grand funeral, yet love and admiration for her still flooded the streets of Broadway and the memories of those who laughed, cried, and marveled at her. Elaine's legacy lives on in her unforgettable roles, from her daring Broadway performances to her sharp television appearances. Her gaze, her laughter, and her unapologetic honesty remain, reminding us that a true artist never truly leaves the soul of their audience. Lou Myers as Mr. Davis. In 1987's The Cosby Show, Lou Myers appeared as Mr. Davis, a witty, eccentric, and spirited man who left a lasting impression despite appearing in only one episode. He had a unique gift for turning grouchy old men into lively, memorable characters, most notably as Mr. Gaines in A Different World. On Broadway, Myers captivated audiences in August Wilson's plays such as Fences, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, and The Piano Lesson. Yet behind the stage lights, his life was filled with harsh tragedies: a broken marriage, depression, heavy drinking, and fractured relationships, painting a picture of a reality few ever saw. Though he once shone on Broadway and briefly on The Cosby Show, Lou Myers often battled a haunting sense of being forgotten. Supporting roles faded from audiences' memories, while his blunt personality sometimes kept colleagues at a distance. After his marriage collapsed, he spent lonely nights with a half-empty glass of liquor, dwelling on missed opportunities. Even when appearing at small events or poetry readings, disappointment followed him quietly, like a shadow trailing just beyond the spotlight. But those lingering wounds were only the beginning. In his final years, Lou Myers was struck by the harshest storm of all, where loneliness, disappointment, and illness converged. he was pushed away from the very stages that once defined him, lost touch with those closest to him, and endured the quiet indifference of old friends. His health deteriorated severely. Chronic lung disease and high blood pressure tormented him daily, every cough and labored step a cruel reminder of life's limits. In cold hospital rooms, his dimmed eyes spoke of exhaustion and isolation, surrounded only by fading memories of the stage. Trapped in pain, helplessness, and profound solitude, he sank into a world where the lights had long gone dark, and the sound of laughter lived only in memory. Lou Myers passed away quietly in Charleston, West Virginia, leaving behind deep sorrow for those who admired him. In his final years, he lived reclusively in a small home, withdrawn from the world yet still holding on to his love for art. Though his departure was quiet, Lou's legacy endures. His quirky, humorous performances and the unforgettable figures of Mr. Davis and Mr. Gaines continue to live on in the hearts of audiences, ensuring his laughter and talent never fade. Moses Gunn as Dr. Lotus. Moses Gunn left an unforgettable mark as Dr. Lotus in The Cosby Show, a calm, gentle man full of empathy. Though he appeared in only one episode, his performance reflected Gunn's subtlety and artistry, leaving viewers with lasting memories of his compassionate gaze and warm smile. That appearance once again proved his mastery as an actor, breathing life into the image of a resilient artist. Yet behind the spotlight and the admiration of fans, his life carried deep tragedies: a deprived childhood, a broken marriage, depression, and fractured relationships, revealing a harsh reality few ever understood. Beyond the applause and praise, Moses Gunn stepped into a private world of pressure, where conflicts and estrangement consumed him day by day. Known for his perfectionism, he always put artistic standards above all else. But that same rigor often sparked clashes with colleagues and left him isolated on many projects. On set, his stern decisions and blunt honesty sometimes alienated him, creating an ever-present feeling of being pushed away. Even so, he clung to his passion for art, quietly sustaining his devotion, even as the darkness of real life grew heavier around him. Earlier scars were only the beginning. The cruelest tragedies came later, when Gunn found himself isolated, estranged from loved ones, and sinking into profound loneliness. Asthma tormented his every breath, and hospitals became battlegrounds where he struggled against his own failing body. His dimmed eyes stared at cold, empty rooms that offered no escape. On screen, he had once shone brilliantly, but in life, his career faded, leaving him trapped in mental anguish and helpless despair, a lingering nightmare that pained those who admired him. On December 16, 1993, Moses Gunn passed away quietly at the age of 64, closing a turbulent artistic journey. In his final days, he lived reclusively, bearing illness and deep solitude. Yet the image of Dr. Lotus in The Cosby Show continues to shine, living on in the hearts of audiences as the eternal legacy of a dedicated artist. Each moment of his performance now serves as a reminder of Moses Gunn's talent and generous spirit. Lynn Thigpen as Mrs. Hudson. Born on December 22, 1948 in Joliet, Illinois, Lynn Thigpen became an unforgettable presence on screen when she appeared as Mrs. Hudson in The Cosby Show in 1991. A gentle, patient, and compassionate woman. Though brief, the role left a powerful impression, reflecting Lynn's own character, both tender and resilient. From Broadway's Godspell to her role as the ACME chief in Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, she captivated audiences with her talent and determination. Yet beyond the spotlight, Lynn lived through silent tragedies. a lonely childhood, painful losses, and the barriers of racial prejudice, all shaping a life of struggles few truly knew. Behind the bright glow of the screen, Lynn quietly wrestled with the shadows of her personal life. She set impossibly high standards for every role, but that perfectionism often came with isolation, repeatedly rejected for parts because of her skin color, and at times avoided by colleagues. In her small apartment, she would sit at her desk late into the night, poring over scripts, her eyes reflecting a deep and quiet loneliness. At times, she blamed herself for never having a complete family, carrying an emptiness that no laughter on screen could ever fill. Those early struggles were only the prelude to her harshest tragedies. Lynn entered her darkest years as relationships, health, and hope all began to unravel. Despite decades of hard work, she continued to feel isolated within the world of stage and television, where understanding was scarce and her dream roles always seemed out of reach. Chronic illness wore her down day by day, each moment a battle with pain and exhaustion, while the unrelenting pressures of her profession never eased. She grew increasingly withdrawn, living reclusively in her Marina del Rey apartment, where daylight rarely entered and her nights stretched into long hours of silence, her sad eyes fixed on blank white walls. Even as she lent her voice to dozens of audiobooks and took on film projects, the smile seen on screen was only a mask hiding a wounded soul. Every performance, however brilliant, could not heal the quiet scars that made Lynn both admirable and deeply heartbreaking to those who knew her story. On March 12, 2003, Lynn Thigpen's life came to an end, taking with her the smile and screen presence she had gifted throughout her career. In her final years, she lived quietly, silently battling chronic illness and unspoken pressures she rarely shared with anyone. Yet her legacy remains eternal. Her role as Mrs. Hudson in The Cosby Show, her unforgettable characters on the Broadway stage, and her warm, resonant voice live on in the memories of fans, reminding us of a dedicated, singular artist whose light endures beyond her passing. They once brought us laughter, joy, and unforgettable moments on screen. Today, those familiar faces may have left this world, but the memories and happiness they gave us continue to live on in our hearts. Take a moment to pray and leave your tribute in the comments as a heartfelt thank you for the joy, the values, and the memories they shared with us. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like and subscribe so we can keep preserving those timeless memories together.